Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and welcome to another episode of our earwax removal episodes. My name's Richard, I'm a registered nurse. My clinic is in the UK, it's called No More Earwax. Stick with this one, a bit bright and a bit glary to start with, but it does become clearer very shortly. And it's an interesting case, this. It's a fella, believe it or not, had this cleared out about 6 months ago, somewhere else. He'd only just managed to find me. So I was quite surprised as to how much there was and the consistency of it. It rang a few alarm bells in my mind, because he said he'd always had a problem with collections of skin inside his ear. Now, we all have skin in our ear canal. It's what lines the ear canal. And what's supposed to happen is it travels sideways through. Evolution has taught it to do that. It's very clever, the body. It'll find a way around everything. Now, there are some rare conditions in which this skin that's supposed to move sideways, it kind of doesn't happen. So each layer of skin that you shed in the ear canal, it kind of just stays there, and it builds up, and it builds up, and it can grow and grow and grow and grow. And that condition is called Keratosis obturans. It's not that common. Now, I'm not sure this is that, but it may well be a precursor to it, because this chap has had it done, like I said, every 6 months or so for quite a while. And for it to get to this point where you get this really hard skin plug with it, you can see these layers of dead skin around the outside of it. It might have been, because it's been cleared regularly, it's not got to the point where it's caused a big problem. Because with something like Keratosis obturans, where these things are not managed, they can grow and grow and grow, and they can actually start to widen the ear canal. There's different grades of it. It can even infiltrate the bones, and it can infiltrate it can get anywhere that it does not supposed to do. If it just keeps growing basically and it's in your head, it can become potentially quite serious. So whether this is very early stages of it or not, possibly. But I couldn't see any obvious damage to the ear canal after we took this out. But just the fact of how difficult this was to remove leads me to thinking that he might well have that condition. Like I said in other videos, not my job to diagnose things. But I certainly recommend that he comes to see me at least every 6 months to try and get this sorted out before it becomes a problem. Because I'm relatively sure that's what it is, or certainly what could develop into. So like I said, it's a bit of a precursor to Keratosis obturans. Now, managing to get a reasonable grip here, as you can probably hear, every time there's no sounds in it, it means you've got a good grip, then you can start wiggling it around. But I've got a good grip. Yes, it's moving, but I'm pulling with quite considerable force, and it's just not coming up the ear canal. Little too deep for tools, this. We do use tools every now and then. I possibly should have used some nearer the end here. It would have made it a bit easier. But it's rare that suction alone isn't enough to get things out, which usually happens with these anyway. You see a fair few hairs in this as well. But there we go, just starting to move it forward now. And thankfully it does tend to stay in one piece. Quite a hairy ear canal entrance here. And this is at the point where we started to struggle. I probably should have got a hook in the side of it here, to be perfectly honest with you. And as you can see, yes, it is moving around, but I just can't get it through that gap. So I think what we'll do in a minute is I'll come out again there, and I've just asked the patient to literally pull their ear just to make it wider, because it's I'm not going to compare it to ladies giving birth, because I'll get shouted at then. But literally the thing that's in there is bigger than the hole I'm trying to get it out of. The ear is the same. So we need to but the ear canal doesn't dilate itself, you've got to dilate it for it. So that's literally stretching that open, just makes it a touch wider, which means we can navigate this thing out here. There you go, so you can see, we can already see more of the whole plug there, because he's pulling his ear at the moment. And yeah, I suspect if left this, it more than likely would have turned into Keratosis obturans, because it would have gone darker and darker in the middle, almost black. You get some that turn black. But a lot of earwax is just dead skin, but some have more dead skin in than others, and this was certainly pretty much all of it. You may well have had, because you might well see it in a minute, there's a lot of dry flaky skin around the outside of the ear canal here. So we could also have chronic ear infections there, which is causing this flaking of the skin all the time. It's extremely dry and flaky. So you could have like a chronic otitis externa, which is just another word for an outer ear infection that's just not resolving. But I've given him a treatment plan anyway as to how to manage this. You're not going to prevent it building up. So can you see all the dry skin at the top there? You're not going to prevent this build-up, but you certainly need to make sure that it's removed relatively frequently before it does start to become a problem, because inevitably it probably will. So, as with anything, prevention is the best medicine. You can nip something in the bud before it causes you a problem. Yeah, and also the consistency of this as well. It's kind of spongy and springy. That's always a bit of a giveaway to these type of conditions. But the longer it would have been in there, say if this thing would have been in there, I don't know, a couple of years, yeah, it would have been a giant, hard, really tense ball that would make it extremely difficult to remove. So I'm glad he found me, so we could manage to get this out before it became extremely difficult, because they are notoriously hard to remove, these ones. In fact, I have got a lady coming to see me soon, in a week or so, that I have seen in the past that I'm pretty sure does have keratosis obturans. So if it looks okay, and obviously get the patient's permission, I might be able to show you a video of that later on this week. I think it might be next week actually, but stay tuned anyway. So here it is, just about to wriggle this thing out. Quite a hairy entrance as well, this. Bit of a jungle in there, and you can see the big thick layer of dead skin around the outside. Getting a bit of a clue as to what was going on there, and it gets darker the nearer it gets to the middle. So I've just left the tube in there because every time I was putting the endoscope in, it misted up. Because it can get quite humid sometimes in there, and it can cause the camera to steam up. So I've had to leave the suction tube in there. What that does, that takes out that warm air that's in there, and it stops the camera from misting up. In case you're wondering, why has he left that in there? He's not cleaning anything out again. But that's the reason why, to keep the image clear. Now this was the other ear, which didn't give us half as many problems. Just a quick grab it from the bottom, give it a wiggle and pop it out. Excuse me. Still a fair old chunk, don't get me wrong. And again, another hairy entrance. So it can obstruct your view sometimes. I know you guys must get frustrated. So, why don't you pull them out or trim them or what have you? I don't know if you ever tried pulling any hairs out your face like that. It's quite unpleasant. Well, we can usually navigate our way around it. Now, where is it? Even I'm struggling to, yeah, if you find it frustrating, imagine how frustrating it is for us. We've got all this in the way. Excuse me, and we're trying to see in there. But there it is, pulled out from the jungle. Another fairly substantial hard plug there. And yeah, there's the ear canal and the eardrum afterwards, which looked okay. It's absolutely fine considering what had been in there for so long. And there they are. So I hope you enjoyed that, found it interesting. Stay tuned for some more episodes this week. But for now, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.